Good evening. Good evening. Happy Sunday. Hope that we're all doing well. Hope that we are all awesome. Thank you for catching up on replay as always. I'm going to do the invites bit now, so bear with me. If you're listening or watching, feel free to skip a couple of minutes. And this is a bit tricky. Let's do it the best I can. Drop me a comment, let me know you're here. Jump on board, let me know. Nice blue heart if you are returning, and this is a red one if it's your first time watching. If this is the first time you've ever jumped on an Always Better Than Yesterday interview session, I can't get my words out, then drop me a red love heart. If you've seen one of these things before and you're coming back for more, then drop me a blue heart, let me show you some love. I'm going to send a few invites and then I'm going to get cracking because I don't want to bore you. 3 more, 2, 3. Perfect. Let me see who is on. Hey, there we go. Nice to see some faces on. What is up? Chris is on, Daisha's on, Nikki's on. Hi Nikki. Amy's on. How are we doing? Happy Sunday, one and all. I hope that we're doing well. So this is episode 13 of the Always Better Than Yesterday interview sessions. So for those of you that joined in for the first ever time, thank you, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you being here. This is all about helping you understand the habits and the mindset of inspiring and successful people. I'm a curious little monkey, and I like to know about people, know what motivates them, what drives them, what helps them be better than they were yesterday. And rather than keep all that information to myself, I thought, why don't I do that for the benefit of everybody else? And I think we've had some amazing conversations over the last 13 weeks. Now, 13 might be unlucky for some, but 13 is very much lucky for me because tonight I am joined by Chris Saunders, Wellbeing and Empowerment coach from Colorado, USA. And I've got to shout out Lewis Raymond Taylor at this point, because it's thanks to Lewis that and his community of the Hunger Start Accelerators that Chris and I became connected. And in fact, we were accountability buddies. So we were in a development community, personal development community, and it was myself and Chris became accountability buddies to keep each other accountable to the goals that we'd set each other for that week. And our relationship's grown over the coming months, and I couldn't imagine not knowing Chris anymore. It's amazing. She's a good friend of mine, and it's my pleasure to be interviewing her this evening and sharing her with you all. So I won't give her too much of an intro because I'll let her do that herself. So I'm going to bring her on. Maybe I'm not because she's disappeared. Chris, what are you doing to me? Where have you gone? Come on, Chris. Come back. I'm just going to fill some time. Drop me your questions as we go. And Chris, your questions. We will pick them up as we go along.
Hi.
Hey. What is that jersey?
Well, today is the Denver Broncos home season opener. Season opener.
Amazing.
Yes. So our football is today.
Amazing.
Where we don't use anything but really our hands are.
Are the Broncos any good?
Some years they are. This year, me.
I'm a Miami fan.
What?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we could talk all evening. There's people watching, there's people listening. So, could you do me the honor of introducing your good self to the watchers and the listeners?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I have been looking forward to this for so long, and I'll tell you all a little bit about that. But I also wanted to thank Lewis Raymond Taylor because without him, you and I would not be friends today, and I can't imagine my life without you in it. So I'm so happy to be here.
Amazing.
So I am an empowerment and wellbeing coach, like Ryan said, and I started my journey of creating my wholehearted life sort of coaching practice a couple of years ago, and I'll just tell a little bit. I won't go into super detail, but I was a drug and alcohol therapist for years and years and years. And that got a little trying at times. So I decided to do something a little different and went into project management. And what I found was I missed that. And my project management was with a human service agency, serving the public, being a public servant, but it really wasn't quite. I love all the comments, so I might have to like do that, like, hi, Nikki. um, so anyway, I missed doing that public service piece. And so I wanted to do something more, and I didn't know exactly what it was. So I was honored to go to a Tony Robbins event, and it really helped me sort of figure out what exactly it is that I wanted to do and what was stopping me. And it was really sort of those BS limiting beliefs that we all have that were stopping me from, like I had some trauma from 25 years ago that I had never worked through, and I began to do that. And in that blossomed this wholehearted life coaching practice, and finding ways that I could, figure out what my why was, figure out what my mission was. And my why is to ease suffering for whoever I can, whenever I can. And so that's like a super brief little bit about who I am. And so I too am so excited that like we got to connect, because like think about that, like you're like 7 hours in the future from me, which is really cool. Amanda's watching.
Amazing.
That's really cool. So that's a little bit about me, like really brief nutshell. Oh, John's watching too. This is awesome.
Hey, John.
I'm like
amazing.
looking
Right,
at all
so
these things.
I'm going to dive in now. I'm going to dive into some questions.
Okay.
So you shared a very inspiring and emotional and amazing Why Wednesday. So for those of you that aren't within the We Are Always Better Than Yesterday community, within that community, every Wednesday we have people sharing their whys, their purpose, what drives them, what motivates them. And Chris shared hers a month ago or so, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. And can you just tell me again and just say it a few times what your why is?
Yes, and actually people can go and watch it on my YouTube channel because I was able to get it, which is awesome.
Amazing.
So I'll put some links down below. But my why is to ease suffering for whoever I can, whenever I can. That's my mission in life.
Yeah.
However,
amazing. So let's unpick that a little bit. Where does that come from?
I think for me, it comes from like I've always been the person who is a helper. Like I that's just me by nature. And sometimes it kind of gets to the detriment because sometimes people just want you to listen. And I sometimes have a hard time of just like stepping back and not being that fixer. And so if I have things that I can share with someone or strategies that I know have worked for me or I've seen work for other people, I want to share that. Like I think and when I first started my business, I was like, I'm going to make this successful and I'm going to coach people and I'm not going to be a, project manager anymore. I'm going to do this. And that just wasn't feeling good for me. And I know you and I, Ryan, had talked about that. Like taking people's money feels challenging sometimes. So I shifted my focus a little bit and I thought, I just want to share my knowledge. I just want to do that. So from there, it's like sort of blossomed and bloomed into this really awesome way just to be able to make people's lives better. I think that there's people who suffer and they don't have to. And if I can help them even just like a little tiny bit, like that to me means everything in the world. That to me means everything in the world. If I can just, even if it's just for a few moments, if I can just ease their pain and make them smile, like that's the world. Yeah.
That's amazing. So when someone comes and sees Chris Saunders, Wholehearted Life, Empowerment and Wellbeing coach, how do you ease their suffering? What are some of the ways and in the techniques and conversations that you have that help you do that?
I think for me, the most important piece is being present with someone. I think having that presence with someone and being there and not making it about you. Having those skills to be able to just listen and find those little things that you can just maybe ask some really good quality questions of them that are not judgmental, that are not like belittling. It just helps them feel that empowerment themselves. I think it's more empowering for them to be able to get that information on their own just through sort of just some questioning. And it's not like a questioning like you would think like police questioning, but just like really like questions about sort of especially around like rules and values that we have. Like our rules,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our rules are stupid. Like, but if you're not willing to look at what those rules are that make up your values and beliefs, then sometimes you don't really understand why you're not meeting those needs because your
Mm-hmm.
rules are kind of bogus. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really sort of helping people dissect those rules that they may have had for 25 years or 30 years. I mean, I think about like old wives' tales that our parents told us about certain things, and it's like until you debunk them, you believe them. So if you can do that for yourself, then you can dive in and figure out exactly why you're not getting your needs met, and maybe you aren't happy in a certain situation or a certain area, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can figure out exactly why.
Yeah. So are those sort of your values and your needs? Are they sort of things that the Tony Robbins event helped you think and reflect on?
Absolutely. I think when I went to the Tony Robbins event, like I knew, like I was like, I want to be Tony Robbins. Like I want to do something so cool like that because people are so moved by it and some people's
Mm.
lives change forever. And I know that sounds funny, but it changed me. And I think the human need psychology makes so much sense to me. And
Mm.
that's a whole nother conversation that we could have in
Yeah.
your community. But those really like you trying to meet these needs, and sometimes you do it in ways that aren't super healthy, but they're still being met. And so like I think about like addictions or bad
Mm.
relationships because there's so much certainty there. Like some people that are bound by that certainty and the need for constant things that you know are going to be there. A bad relationship is going to meet those needs, but it's not healthy. So it's really dissecting
Mm.
that down to like the minuscule piece, and that takes time and it takes willingness.
Mm.
So yeah.
So can you share with me a couple of your values?
Sure. Um, I think, I mean, I can go really deep and I can go pretty surfacey. Like, let's just start with surface. So, like, I have this thing about time and respect. And I think about how that has come around in my life. And I think it
Mm-hmm.
comes, I mean, it absolutely, I don't think I know it absolutely comes from, growing up as a child and, in my family, like there are family members who are consistently late. And it's like some of the some of the comments that, my mother or my father or my aunts and uncles would say about, a family member like, oh, so and so is going to be here at 2. That really means 5. And it's like this constantly waiting around. It's like, so
Mm.
for me, like that's a very surface level one. Like time
Yeah.
is super important. Like your time and my time are very valuable. Let's honor that.
Mm-hmm.
So and people are in my life can certainly say like if we're in a meeting and people are late, it's not even me that has to be late. If someone else is late, I have anxiety about it. So like those are the things like, oh, I really need to figure out some of those values and rules I have around that. And it's one that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really affect a whole lot, so I haven't really paid too much attention about it.
Mm.
And one of the ones that I really worked on the last couple of the years, which is a little bit more deeper, is like having that, that saying like you're not enough. Like it could be like you're not smart enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not, all that kind of stuff. And mine was in meetings, like I'm not confident enough in meetings. And I was like, well, what does that really mean? Like, and so it's really dissecting those rules about, it could be just one particular meeting, right? And it's like, well, I don't have all the answers right off the top of my head, and I'm not a quick thinker, and I don't, speak up and, all that stuff, and I don't know everything. And it's like, well, shoot, nobody knows everything. So that's a stupid rule I
Mm.
have. I don't have to know
Mm.
everything to feel confident in a meeting. So those are the things that, I mean, and you could work on that for years and never be done. But it's really just taking those little pieces and just dissecting them and figuring out what works and what doesn't work and what serves you and what
Mm.
doesn't serve you.
And that's right, isn't it? So for those people that haven't gone through this concept of working out what your values are, what sort of questions can sit there and ponder on? People sit there and ponder on.
So when I do that, and I've done that with a few of my clients, like we'll start with a particular topic or situation, and we'll go to like, what is, let's say like the meeting. What does your ideal meeting look like? Like, tell me what that ideal meeting looks like. What do you want to accomplish in this meeting?
Mm-hmm.
And then I will dissect, like, well, what has to happen in order for you to feel like you're being heard? And we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what has to feel, and whatever comes out of that, then we just level it down to, well, what does it feel like for you to feel like you're a quick thinker? Or what does it feel like for you to feel included? So it's really those, what does it feel like type of questions? What does it look like? What does it sound like? You know, what do you hear? Who's around? So it's really just getting that really minuscule stuff dissected. And like I said, it could take forever because there's so many situations that people want to work through. So, and I think one of the really fun ones that I kind of learned in school when I went back to school was there was this teacher and he was talking to somebody about this, and this guy's like, well, I need, time to relax, and I want to, feel at peace, and, I can't not have any stress. And he's like, well, what does it take? What does it look like? Where are you? What are you doing? And the guy's like, well, I'm at the beach and I'm, reading a book and the ocean is there and, it's like really quiet and my wife is there, and he's going on and on. The guy's like, wait a minute, your wife is there? Don't you understand? Like, chicks like to talk a lot. So if you're looking for quiet, I'm not sure that that's where you're gonna. So like, there's just
Got his headphones in. Yeah.
So there's like those kinds of things. Like sometimes you don't even think about it. Like, oh yeah, I do want my wife there, but she does talk a lot. So I'm not gonna get like my quiet and peace time. So maybe I can look at some other way to get that. So it's like those things we're not even aware of. So it's just really awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the sort of like habits that you've built up over your years that have really started to serve you well?
Well, I think habits are interesting because we have bad habits and we have good habits. And so I think habits for me are about physiology, like moving your body makes a whole lot of sense to me, because if you move your body, you can change the chemistry makeup in your body, right? So one of the things that was really awesome about the Tony Robbins event was he has this guy, Joseph McClendon, who comes in and he has this thing called astitude, which pretty much means like shaking your ass to make your attitude better. So it's like moving your body, but it happens in, you can exercise and you can walk and you can dance, and it's just that physiology changes the chemical makeup in your body. I do a lot of prayer and meditation, and I think that's really important to be able to sit with yourself and not have any music, not have any TV, not have any like outside influences, just to sort of think.
What does meditation give you?
Meditation gives me a space to think about nothing. It takes a lot of practice to get there. Some people do like thinking meditation or thought-provoking meditation. I like to just empty. I just like to empty it. And if a thought comes, it goes. It goes. And I did that a lot in yoga, and actually I've missed that the last 4 weeks. So I can tell a difference in that piece. Meditation is important. It's a huge learning curve. I think, breathing, lots of breathing exercises has been really helpful for me, counting breaths, those sorts of things. And I also do what I call heart breathing, and I can talk about that forever too, but it's really, science has proven if you place a hand on your heart and a hand on your head and you breathe, it syncs, and you can make a little bit, you can make a little bit more wiser choices, because our head likes to mess with us, but our heart really knows what the answer is, right? That's what Wholehearted is, right? So our heart knows exactly what to do, but our mind questions that based on our experiences in life. And so, breaking patterns, like if you're not feeling good, like there's got to be something that breaks that pattern, and it could be a friend, or you can learn how to do that yourself, and it could be asking yourself a stupid question that like breaks your pattern. I mean, I don't know how many times maybe you've been like in this really heated discussion and blah, blah, and somebody's like, oh man, your shoes are cool. And you're like, thanks, that's cool. I'm like, wait, I'm mad at you. We're having like this conversation. So it's like breaking that pattern of thought. So, yeah.
There's a couple of comments that have jumped in. So Geneva talks about, I do ironing meditation. Do you know what? I've often thought I'm sat there, what, I iron my shirt sometimes on Sunday night before work and in the week, and I thought, oh, this is repetitive. And sometimes and I thought maybe I was just the only one that thought that, ironing was a bit meditative, if that even a word, breathing and removing wrinkles. Geneva, I love that. Tell me more about that. I want to hear some more about it. And Amanda, I do cleaning meditation. It clears my mind amazingly. Maybe there's something in this kind of cleaning and ironing meditation.
That doesn't surprise me about Geneva. She's fantastic, or Amanda. Like Geneva is, she's an awesome woman. You guys should definitely connect and talk. But yes, I can totally picture her right now ironing and cleaning out those wrinkles. She's so metaphorical and amazing. So yeah, I can totally
Wow,
see that. Yeah.
love that. That's really interesting because a friend of mine talks about, seriously heavy weightlifting being quite meditative. And I've said it again. Is that even a word? I don't know.
It can be. Today it is.
Hot. Oh yeah, Bill, definitely Headspace. It's been fantastic. It's
Mm.
been really great resource for myself. I'm glad you like it, mate. Glad you like it. And running, mate. Yeah, very. We are like-minded, my friend, because those are the two things that have helped me over the last, 9 months. Getting out, running, clearing the head, and getting some headspace on the go.
I agree.
Nice, I like
I
that.
agree with
So,
the running
where
piece.
were we?
I agree with the running piece. I think for me, when I was doing all the running and training for that Muddy Princess event, which was really fun, um, like the mind piece of that was
Yeah.
awesome. Like the body piece, my hamstrings were shredded. So like I have to figure something out if I'm going to keep running. But the mind piece, and I know Amanda's the same way. Like if she's in the space where her mind is just cluttered, she'll go run or elliptical or bike.
Mm.
Like there is no tomorrow, and she's like, "Woo!" Oh, Geneva said something.
Well, my wife's given me some beans about it would be nice if I meditated whilst doing cleaning or something like that. Sounds like a great idea. So I'm sure I've let myself in for there.
Yeah, the cooking and the cleaning and all that kind
Uh,
of stuff. Yeah, yeah.
where are we going next then, Chris? What do you want me to ask you about?
I don't know. I think I was thinking about like when we talked a little bit before that, we were talking about like the mindset piece of that.
Mm,
And I think for me, like I view life as life is happening for me. It's not happening
mm-hmm.
to me. And I think if you are in a space where you're thinking, well, oh my God, why is this happening to me? There's judgment, there's fear, there's all those things that we don't really necessarily love in
Yeah.
life. So if you can look at life as happening for us, for me,
Mm.
you can find the opportunity. You can
So,
honor the past and you can know that what is happening for you is shaping you to
mm,
be the best person you can be.
mm, yeah, I like that. What helps you with that? What helps you get into that mind space of life's happening for you? Let's take your Facebook account for example. So not many people know that you've been building up a Facebook account for many years, built up your community, and day one of your holiday to Antigua, your Facebook account gets deactivated. Your business is on there, your clients, your community, and it goes. In that moment, how do you get to that headspace of it's happening for you?
Well, in the beginning, I was shocked. I was completely shocked. Like I didn't know,
Mm,
because you don't know the answers. You don't know why it's happening.
mm,
Like, is it true? Is it, is it because I'm out of the country? It's like, what's happening? And so it's really like in the moment I panicked because, like you said, like that's my world. Um,
mm,
and so I panicked and I thought to myself, this can't ruin my vacation. I'm like
mm,
5 minutes into this vacation, it can't ruin it. And it did consume me for quite a bit, like maybe a couple of hours. But I have this series of questions I sort of ask. And I always say, like, find the good. Like, that's what I ask myself or tell myself.
mm,
Find the good in this because you know this is happening for you. And I repeat that to myself, sometimes out loud, sometimes in my head. This is happening for you. You don't get to know why. Right this minute, you don't get to know why, but this is happening for a reason. And
mm,
then I work through it like I have this process that I go through. It's called the loss less never process. And it's really a series of three questions. Have I lost something? Do I have less of something? Or do I feel like I'm never going to have something?
mm,
And so it can, if it's a smaller sort of challenge that you're working on, you can pinpoint what it is because you don't necessarily have all
mm,
three of them. This one, I had all three of them. Like, I've lost something, I have way less of something, and I'm never going to get this back. So how am I going to deal
mm,
with this? And it really puts you in a place of, okay, what are the opportunities here? And so I said to myself, and I contacted Amanda and I was like, can you help me out? Can you figure out if there's somebody I can call? Can you figure out if I mean, I had very limited Wi-Fi. And she's like, I think
Mm.
you just have to send this appeal in. So she sent me the link and I sent it in. I was like, that's all I can do. And then I actually sat outside in the sand in the ocean in the middle of the night because I couldn't sleep. And I prayed and I asked for help in just letting it go. And I said that probably over to myself and to the world and to God, probably like 5 minutes, like, please just give me the strength. And I just felt this overwhelming sense of peace and I let it go. I completely let it go for almost 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without a Frozen soundtrack in sight.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was amazing.
I love that.
Because I didn't know that I would be able to do that. And, I just didn't want it to ruin that special vacation that we had been planning for so long. So
it was your anniversary vacation, wasn't it?
Yep.
Amazing. How many years?
20 years, 25 together.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really
There's
awesome.
a few things we can learn about mindset being with someone for that long, isn't there?
Absolutely. Probably from both of us.
Yeah, we'll be speaking with John next week.
You can interview John next time.
Amazing. What can you learn from the experience, Adam says? What's your contingency plan with your business and your Facebook?
I think Adam, and I love Adam. I've been, since I met him on I think on one of like these interviews, I think I may have like caught and just started, following him and chatting with him. And
Mm-hmm.
he did a lot of good questions for my Why Wednesday. And so Adam has awesome questions. And I think what I can learn from that is don't put all your eggs in one basket and branch out and find other platforms to build that, which is challenging in this day and age and doable at the same time. And my contingency plan is to keep going. I know, Ryan, you and I had kind of talked, and you said, please don't give up. And I wanted to at that point. I'm like, why? Why even bother? And then I was like, no, you're right. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to rebuild this community. And I think right now I'm on Facebook, but I do very little. And I think I'm going to focus more on Instagram just for a while, even though I know Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same people. I know that. It's just a little bit different platform, and you have a little bit more freedom to do some things. You don't even have to put your real name on Instagram, so, which is weird. Whatever. So I think
be where you want to be.
Yeah, and just
and have
go.
fun along the way.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I made a lot of connections, because I do the radio show, and hashtags are powerful on Instagram, and I've met a couple of other people who do radio shows here in the States who may or may not. I don't know. You never know what's going to happen. So
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So my coaching philosophy, my mindset is all about being always better than yesterday. Mm-hmm. So what does being always better than yesterday mean to you?
After you kind of talked with me about that, like, I really thought about it, and it was really, I have this, it's an old saying, but if you're not growing, you're dying. And I don't want to be in that space. So I find the opportunity in everything. Am I perfect? No. Am I always on 100% of the time? No. Do I strive for that? Absolutely. And if I can make someone feel better, someone smile, someone's suffering a little less, then I know I have been better than I was yesterday. So I think it's finding those opportunities. And I think I remember back when Adam asked me what my favorite word was, and that really stuck with me, Adam. So, and it's love, and it has to start and stop and end with love. So if you can give that, then you're going to be better than yesterday. Absolutely.
So tell me a few of the ways in which you are always better than yesterday.
I am. Oh, now you put me on the spot. How I am always better than yesterday. I think for me, I don't hold on to the past. I used to a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
used to hold on to that and I used to use it as excuses, and I don't
Mm.
anymore. I look at it as a learning experience. So if I can say, okay, that shit happened, that's gone. It's not going to change, right? You can't change it, but you can learn from
Mm-hmm.
it. So I think for me, letting the past be in the past, and I have a lot of huge things that have happened to me that I now can honor, and
Mm.
which is very challenging. If and some people who think about that, I'm a survivor of sexual assault, and so if you think about if you think about honoring something like that, people are like, what the F are you talking about, right? But for me, like honoring that because it shaped me who I am today. It's made me
Mm.
who I am today. And was it,
In what way?
um, I think it's made me, like, it took me a long time to get there. It took me 25 years to figure out all of that and why I
Mm.
was the way I was, because I had moments in my life where I wasn't very nice to myself and I wasn't very nice to the people around me. And um,
Mm.
because I was holding on to that fear and holding on to, you know, things like extra weight so people wouldn't notice me and like things like that. And it was detrimental to me. Um,
Mm.
so if I can just let that go and honor it,
Mm.
this sounds really weird, but it's helpful if you can just say, because you're like, oh my God, Lewis Raymond Taylor brought us together, right? Okay, so there are probably things that has happened in that community that you and I have probably, been like, oh well, that's kind of different or whatever, but we still honor it because it shaped how it made us today. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to honor the good and the not so good.
Mm-hmm. So, what would be the kind of 3 to 5 things that have really helped you come forward in the last 25 years to being the person you are today?
Connections with people.
Sorry, pardon?
Connections with people. I've made
Connection.
lots
Yeah.
of amazing connections with people. Um, I've had lots of amazing conversations with people. Uh,
Mm.
my relationship with my husband is huge.
Mm.
And I think being able to like and love myself is huge, which I didn't do for many, many years. And
Mm.
and be okay that I'm not perfect, that I'm progress. It's like, progression, not perfection, right? So I'm
Mm.
not
Always, yeah.
not perfect, but I'm always moving forward. So I
Mm.
think, and not giving up. I don't want to give up. Like I say that because it's easy. I've said that
Yeah.
before because it's easy. Like, yeah, I'm just going to give up. I'm having self doubt about even wanting to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I think that's what I said. It's like, I don't even want to be an entrepreneur anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Because, like, one little road bump, are you kidding me? But it's that moment where you can
Mm.
go, like, oh, you're silly. Why are you saying that? Whereas before it took, 25 years to figure it out, it's like less than
Mm.
like 2 or 3 hours now. I give myself a statute of limitations. It's 12 hours.
So
Work through
when
the shit.
when you say you're an empowerment coach, you've lived it and you've breathed it.
Hmm.
You're the real deal. You can help people through it.
I think so.
That's your
Absolutely.
gift.
Yep.
To ease suffering. That's a powerful why.
Hmm.
And the world needs more people like you.
Awesome.
I feel incredibly blessed
Thanks.
to share the same space with you, to be friends with you, and I'm very, 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 very grateful for your time this evening. If you were to leave our watchers and listeners with one final thought, what would it be?
I think if you can go out in the world and make one person smile, it will change their day. Just one person a day. That was one of the challenges I had up front for myself, was go out and make one person smile every day. And it turned into like 15 people because it was so amazing the feeling you get when you walk by someone and someone smiles
Yeah.
at you back or says hi or whatever. I mean, our world is
Mm,
so crazy these days that
mm,
if we
mm.
can focus on the good and not on the BS, it will it will be an amazing place.
Amazing. And where can our people check you out more? Where can we find your content and your radio show and your magazine, your articles?
Articles.
Where can we find more of your content?
Yep, articles are in One Tribe magazine, and I'll put a link in the comments. I do radio Tuesday mornings on expatradio.com. It's actually 4 o'clock in the morning here, but I think it's like 11 a.m. there.
Yeah.
I think, and like 12 in France, I think. I think that's what it is, but I'll double check and I'll put it in there. My Instagram is Follow Your Whole Heart. And then my Facebook, which doesn't have a whole lot yet, is Christine Saunders.
Rebuilding.
Rebuilding. Maybe I should put like a construction thing across
Yeah.
the banner or
Just
whatever
so.
it's called. I don't know. Yeah, so, and then I have a website. I'm not an awesome upkeeper of my website. I just not. But it's followyourwholeheart.com.
And who should reach out to you? Who do you like to connect with? Who should jump in and message you and arrange to talk with you?
Well, I would want to say anyone just because that's what I love to do. I just love to connect with people. So it's anyone who wants to just have a conversation about really anything. I don't have a specific, ideal client because I think that everyone, I even need, like, coaches need coaches, right? I don't know how many times I've reached out to you, Ryan, and it's like, hey, can I just call you? And it's just like a 2-second conversation or a 5-minute conversation or something like that. So it's just having those conversations that could just like maybe make your day better.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Chris, I love you dearly, my friend.
Me too.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we shall chat very, very soon. Guys, thank you so much for catching up on replay. Thank you so much for joining live. Drop Chris a message if you want to reach out to her and get in touch. And please do share this video with the one person you feel that this would add value. Chris has dropped some really, really inspirational messages in this conversation. So I'm sure there's someone that you know very close to your heart that would benefit from what she said. So please do make sure that you share. And over and out. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Much love. Bye now.